such an interesting year. We saw Tyler Heineke. We saw so many different people. Dwayne Haskins, you let go. A lot of people thought this year might be a year that, despite the fact that you signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, that you might have made a move in the draft and, come up and taken one of those 5 quarterbacks that everybody was talking about. Mm-hmm. Did you consider that at all?
Oh, yes. Oh, we did. We did, Chris. We really did. But the thing also that stuck out in our mind is the amount of draft capital, the price that we were going to have to pay to try and get the right one, the one we liked the most. That was hard because we're looking at our team saying, God, we need a linebacker. We need a left tackle. We for the future, we need, so many other things that just getting the one guy might not have put us in that position. Now, with what we've done, we secured some of our positions. We feel good about some of the positions. And the rest of the team. And I'll say this was one of the things that we talked about too, was other than Tom Brady, who's won multiple? Well, you can say Peyton, you can say Eli, but then who else? You look at the other guys that have won them, there are a lot of one-timers. And what do those one-timers have in common? Well, they're guys that were very efficient. They managed the game. They didn't turn it over a lot, and they made plays when they had to. So we're just wondering is that the other formula? If you're fortunate enough to find this guy, you ride him. But if you don't, and you find these guys, what says you can't win with them? Other than Tom Brady, think about this. So we went through that back and forth. Now, I'm not saying that if the right guy in our mind is there, that we don't ride with him. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, we know at least Ryan can wear some nice Hawaiian shirts, and I've worked with him a couple of times on different things. There may not be a bigger character in the game, and a guy who loves it. I mean, when you watch Ryan Fitzpatrick play the game, I mean, it's like somebody just told him this is the last snap he ever gets to play. When he runs like a wild man. He'll make throws. He'll take chances. He'll make you crazy sometimes, but then he'll make a play like he did against the Raiders in that game to win the football game. Your early impressions of what you have at quarterback right now with Ryan?
As a personality, exactly what you said. But the thing that's interesting is when you talk to the guys that coached him and then you talk to the guys that played with him, they all say the same thing. What a great guy. He's a great locker room guy. Man, he's awesome with the young guys. He teaches, he helps, he shows guys how things need to be done. And then on top of that, he competes. So again, that's what I think we're getting. We're getting a guy that's going to help us continue to develop as a football team. I mean, we by no means are where we want to be, but we also have a pretty good core. We started with a good base. Now to me, it's about putting the rest of it together, and a guy like that can help us.
Well, I tell you, one thing we do know is that on the defensive side of the ball, you guys are loaded for bear right now. I think top 2, top 4 team, depending on which statistic is your favorite for evaluating defense a season ago. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, so many of the really good young players that you have. And you add, I'm going to screw up his name again. I already asked you what it was. Jammin. I hope it's Jammin. That's like the perfect name for a linebacker. It's probably not. But Davis out of Kentucky, and I've never seen a linebacker that runs 4.37 or whatever he runs. You play the position. You tell me, what does he add to an already really good defense?
Well, what James is going to bring to us is you're going to have a very athletic guy, a guy that can play stacked linebacker inside the box, but at the same time has the ability to go be, I guess they call it an overhang or a guy that walks out and plays in space. He's got that kind of ability. He's shown his coverage skills, which are solid. He plays with great vision. He's physical in terms of run stopper. He goes downhill. He's learning to play what we call a hat and hands technique. He's got good hand placement for the most part. We just think this is a good all-around guy that can be a 3 or should be a 3-down player for you. He should play every down. He's a guy that's going to add to what we're building and be, I think, an integral part. And with those guys in front of him, he's going to be able to run. And that, I think, is one of the really exciting things, that he's going to be able to go sideline to sideline and make plays for us.
Yeah, 2 big defensive tackles in front of him for sure. And the other thing that I see in the game today is that everybody wants to go those tight formations with their receivers and run those sort of deep over routes. Does that linebacker position now have to sort of have the ability to turn back and make some plays in that space?
Yes. Because of what's happening, in my opinion, and the way the offensive styles are evolving, your guys have to be athletic. And that's why I think the position is so hard to find. The days of the first and second down linebackers are few and far between unless you're playing a team like Tennessee that's a big physical downhill team. So you're going to have to make sure your guys are adaptable, they're capable of running in coverage. And at the same time, they've got to be physical enough to withstand a team that does try to pound the ball on you.
You've got, I was sort of laughing as we were watching the draft and preparing for it and all. Of course, we have our list of needs that, we feel like your team had and all that. And it was like linebacker, tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. Your draft went linebacker, tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. It was like right down the list. But one guy that I really liked was actually a third-round pick of yours, a wide receiver out of North Carolina, Diami Brown, who I had in the first round. Every time, I watched so much tape on him. My initial impulse was this guy belongs with the top three players, and nobody was, they had all separated and then Kadarius Toney was sort of that next guy, and everybody understood it. But if there's going to be a breakout player on your football team this year, just know this. If I'm predicting this first, this guy might be the guy.
He has some traits that you really do love. Absolutely. He's got tremendous speed, good quickness off the line of scrimmage. He makes people miss. And then he has the ability to stack a corner real quickly so the corner can't recover and get back on top of him. And he has that separation speed. One of the things that we talked about this earlier was that, PFF had this stat about him in terms of contested catches, and it's really high in his favor. And that's one of the things that really stood out when you watched him in traffic, getting hit in a group of people. He seems to come up with the ball.
Yeah, the other two guys I wanted to ask you about was Chase Young and Terry McLaurin. Mm-hmm. Terry was, I think, a third-round pick, wasn't he?
Yes.
He wasn't a high pick, and Chase Young was sort of top of the board, sort of a thing. But Chase Young probably last season, I've never seen a young kid that was sort of accepted as the leader of a defensive football team, especially a really good defense like what you guys had. Can you explain Chase Young to me?
He does things the way you're supposed to. He does things the way a leader does. When he practices, he tries to be first at everything. When he's in the workouts, he's trying to be first with the workouts. Then when we're in the game, he's constantly going with energy on the field. He comes to the sideline, they go through the corrections, and then as soon as they're done, he's back over by the coaches cheering on the offense. He's cheering on the special teams. And when somebody makes a play, he's one of the first guys to greet him. It doesn't matter whether there's a defensive guy, an offensive guy, or special teams. He's always doing those things. And so when one of your better players does those types of things, it doesn't matter who they are, everybody starts to react. He's got an infectious personality too. It's very positive. Doesn't matter what the score is. He believes we have a chance. And that also gets down to his teammates.